Are you wanting to get into Jane Austen, trying to read it, but you need a little bit of help trying to understand it? You could join a private book club with Frances. You set the timeline, you set the agenda. Through video calls, emails, chat with Frances, learn more about the story. And she's going to help you understand Austen. And you know what? That would make the world a better place. Meg Cabot, amazing author, but not nearly as amazing as Jane Austen. Jane Austen.
Kia ora, welcome to the Amateur Austenite. I'm Frances Duncan, author, Austenite and life coach. My co-host is the fantastic beatboxer, Rachel Pilwar, book buyer, Austenite and all-around nerd.
Hi.
Today we're talking about chapter 18 of Sense and Sensibility. Edward's visiting. He and Marianne talk about the picturesque. It's kind of a stupid conversation. And then Marianne notices that Edward's got a ring on his finger and it looks like it's got Eleanor's hair in it.
If there's the least creepiest jewelry award, surely it goes to ring with hair.
Okay, so not a thing that we do now, but because pictures were difficult to come by, expensive to make, etc., like, you'd have jewellery with people's hair in it. They think it's perfectly normal for him to wear a ring that has his sister's hair in it.
Yeah, which I think is weird. Although I guess, I carry around a little picture of my brother in my wallet, which is just one of his old passport photos that I stole. Just because I think it's funny, because he looks like an idiot in it. But is that like the current equivalent of carrying around your sister's hair?
Remember when Margaret was saying that Marianne was wearing a locket with a picture of Willoughby, and it turned out to be their great uncle? Yeah. And remember that Willoughby got a lock of Marianne's hair. So it's just a way of keeping people close to you and remembering them.
Marianne obviously just assumes it's Eleanor's hair, which is a fair enough assumption based on how pretty much everyone sees them being in love in their relationship. But if I'm remembering correctly, there's a bit where they're discussing it, and Eleanor is like thinking about the hair, and it's just like, oh, it's her sister's, but it is quite light. Well, Eleanor, you know it's not yours, and it's clearly not his sister's. Whose hair do you actually think this is?
Marianne asks if it's Fanny's hair, because she promised to give him some, so it makes sense that they would assume that's who it was from.
But Marianne doesn't believe that.
I thought her hair had been darker. And he blushes and says that the casing of the ring makes it look like it's a different shade. Eleanor and Marianne both think it's Eleanor's hair, but Marianne thinks that Eleanor gave it to Edward.
And Eleanor thinks he stole it from her?
Yes.
Which is fucking creepy.
Where is the line between creepy and romantic? It's whether you're interested in the person. That's what moves the line. And because she cares for him, she doesn't find it creepy that he may have stolen her hair.
Say that I love someone. I think it's very different for them to consensually give me a lock of their hair and for me to somehow acquire a lock of their hair.
Yes.
Because it is very different to consensually give someone a lock of your hair and for them to acquire it without your knowledge. My first thought would be that person has snuck into my room at night and stolen a piece and cut off a piece of my hair. Or they've somehow done it while I'm awake, which I think is almost nearly more terrifying, that someone could cut off a lock of my hair without me noticing.
Remember that they have servants.
So the servant cuts the hair, they keep the hair in a bag or something, and then he goes, hey, you're their servant, can you get me a lock of their hair? And it's like, here's some I procured earlier.
Because they're not engaged, it would be inappropriate for him to have her hair, which is why it was a thing between Willoughby and Marianne. He couldn't actually ask for a lock of hair, but he could go the roundabout way and get a servant to procure some for him. But because we know his mother would not approve, and it's been made very clear, and he has not at any point declared his intentions towards her, there is no way he could do it openly.
We're just saying that it would be creepy. But we know it's not Eleanor's hair, and Edward is not a creep, and he wouldn't do that.
And the creepy thing is that she's looking at it and going, it is exactly the shade of my hair, which is telling you there are similarities between Eleanor and Lucy.
Yeah.
Does Edward have a type? Well, it must be only physical type, because in all other ways they are completely different.
Because his mother doesn't approve of Lucy Steele. Am I correct in saying that? For Edward?
His mother doesn't approve of anyone except Miss Morton, who has like 40,000 pounds.
Yes. So maybe Edward's type is just women his mother doesn't approve of.
Ooh.
He likes the bad girl, which is really a good girl who just would never be accepted regardless.
That's very Eleanor. It's one of the things that later makes her sure that he does love her. But then Lucy says, I gave him a ring with my hair.
Yeah.
And this circumstance is one of the things that makes her go, oh, Lucy's telling the truth. She's not just making up stories.
The ring being a way for like him proving that he's in love with her, and Eleanor accepting that just actually makes it more hurtful when she finds out that she's wrong, and that Edward actually, well, it's not that he doesn't love her, it's that he is already engaged.
And that's the difficult point of the entire relationship, right? He does love her, but he's already engaged.
Is he more honourable for denying his feelings and sticking with his engagement?
Yes.
Well, I guess in this scenario, it's not honourable for him to break the engagement to follow his feelings. But it is, in a way, in a modern context, a more honourable thing to do. Because Lucy would have always been second fiddle for the rest of their lives to Eleanor, I think, if they had gone through with the marriage. So I think in a modern context, it would have still been an honourable thing to call off the engagement, so that way they both weren't just living a life of misery.
I think that whatever Edward does, he's screwed.
That's so true. But we won't go into this now because that's far through the book. But he actually, the best outcome that could happen for him.
He gets so lucky.
He gets so lucky that Lucy is a terrible person.
Have you ever seen the movie Strictly Ballroom?
No.
Baz Luhrmann classic. One of the female dancers is fighting with her part, the main guy, and says, what I want is I want this other dancer who's at our level to walk in here, say my regular partner's broken both her legs, and I want to dance with you. And then the door flies open, and that's what happens. I want Lucy to marry somebody else so I'll be free to marry Eleanor. Dun dun.
Ta-da. It's just like wishful thinking. Not wishful. What's the word? Oh my god, my brain.
Are we talking about manifesting?
Manifesting. That's it. Yeah. Manifest destiny. I bet Edward every night went home, and as he went to sleep, he thought really hard about the outcome that he wanted. He's like, I want to end this. I want to be with Eleanor. And that man manifested that shit. I've broken Francis. Francis has nothing to say to that. Do you or do you not believe in Edward's manifest destiny?
I just can't imagine him wanting that. I can only imagine him beating himself up for having feelings for Eleanor.
That's fair. And I think he would beat himself up, but you can reprimand yourself for wanting that, but still want it.
True.
Yes, he's engaged, but her affections aren't otherwise engaged. So it's not like he's like, oh, I'm going to break up someone else's relationship to do this. I'd only be breaking up my relationship, but also I'm not going to do that because I shouldn't. And so he's like, I'm going to do the right thing, but it still sucks.
And this situation must be so awkward for him because he knows what's going on. No one else in the room knows what's going on.
And Marianne, we know, is not very subtle, but is 100% making as many allusions to it actually being Eleanor's hair as she absolutely can.
Yes, I did love seeing the ring of your sister's hair.
Wow, I didn't know Fanny's hair looked like that in the light.
To make things more awkward, Sir John and Mrs. Jennings turn up because they're like, a new person to play with. We can never be alone for 5 seconds.
They really are the most meddlesome of neighbours.
But it does say because they've only just met Edward, they don't start making jokes about Eleanor liking him, which I was kind of surprised about. You'd think they wouldn't care, but the newness of the acquaintance holds them back.
It definitely shows a difference in how they relate to people who they first meet compared to people they know, like Willoughby and Colonel Brandon. Once they do know people, they're very quick to kind of start making assumptions and joke about them. But I guess because they don't know him at all. But you know the second time they meet him.
Yes, they require the intimacy of 2 meetings before they tease somebody.
Yeah.
They invite them to tea and then dinner the next night, hilariously using the opposite reasons. Drink tea with us tonight, which is an after dinner thing, because we're going to be completely alone. But then you have to come tomorrow because we're going to be a large party. Like, you just use the exact opposite argument for both things. I love how Austen has a whole world. We don't meet all the people, but there's other people there. The Carries and the Whitakers are going to be there. And possibly other people. The Carries are mentioned, I remember, when Margaret gets picked up by them at the end.
These are acquaintances who they obviously have met and or at least know by name, but just aren't central to the story. So we just don't see them. They're the people who are there during the in-betweens of the chapters.
Filling out the dinner parties at Barton Park. There's more people there than we see.
I went to a party for a friend's birthday. It's a friend who I know through work, so we're friends. And I knew 2 people who were at this party fairly well, and 1 person by acquaintance. And I got there, and I was like, oh, there's quite a few people here. I don't know any of them. But I'm going to talk to the people I know and met someone else. And then everybody I know left the party. And I was like, I've only been here for about 40 minutes. I should stick around. So I went to the person whose party it was and went, can you introduce me to some other people? And I ended up meeting some other really cool people and chatting with them for like an hour and a half. It was really lovely. There were so many more people at that party who, to me, just background characters. I maybe caught a name here or there of someone, and I'm like, cool, that person over there, that's Jem. I don't know, but they exist. I had nothing to do with them during this party, and I didn't think of them again. It's the exact same scenario, just in a dinner party setting, where it's like, these are the people I know who I'm going to converse with, who are central to what's going on in my enjoyment of this event. And then, I might meet a few other people whose names are also relevant. Everybody else, they're just background, you know?
Yes, the difference between who's a main character and who's a background character, right?
We're all the main character in our own lives. You're a protagonist, Francis. You're a protagonist. Francis doesn't believe me.
They also tease Marianne about Willoughby, and Edward's like, oh, I kind of get some stuff that's going on now. Why things have been a little bit weird. And he's like, I think Mr. Willoughby hunts. And Marianne has such a big reaction that he's like, oh shit, backpedal, I thought it was a joke. Oh no. But she's so sincere. And she's like, you're going to like him. I'm thank the God she did not go. He's going to be your brother.
Okay. Can you explain to me why he says, I guess, that Mr. Willoughby hunts? Because that went over my head.
In the last chapter, Marianne and Eleanor were talking about how much money you need to survive, basically. And Marianne says, you need about £2,000 to survive. And Eleanor was like, wow, £1,000 is wealth to me. But one of the necessaries that Marianne listed was hunters. Those are horses that you keep specifically for riding out at hunts. So they don't get used all the time.
Yeah. I remember that bit. Was Edward there for that conversation?
Yes.
Okay.
Because the implications in the background are Edward going, I don't know how I'm going to be able to marry Lucy and support her. I need money to be able to do this. My mother won't give me money. Marianne, when she's listing what she thinks they'll need to live at Combe Magna, one of the reasons the price is so high is because there are additional horses literally just for hunting. So they're going to be sitting in the stable eating a lot of food, and you got to have grooms for them. And I don't know that much about hunters themselves, so it might be that the breed of horse is also like a very nice breed, like a fancy breed, which would then make it more expensive. So because she included that, and Edward had said at the time, not everyone hunts, and she's like, some people do.
Yeah.
He's like, I get it now. This guy, he hunts. That's why you're including that.
Thank you. Thank you for the explanation. That had completely slipped my mind.
He wouldn't have brought it up, though, if he thought it was going to upset her. Because the others are joking about it, he doesn't think it's a serious thing. He doesn't think she's going to get upset. Marianne kind of doesn't show him the same. Marianne speaks without thinking when she sees the ring. And then gets them all into an awkwardness.
She's pretty good at that.
They also have this, I think it's kind of a stupid conversation about the picturesque, which is a whole concept at the time, as opposed to things being idealised, like everything is perfect. There's a smooth hill and there's a large tree with lovely green leaves. The picturesque is about finding beauty in the imperfect.
Which I think there's something to be said for. That's quite a nice notion.
Well, at least that's some of it. The whole thing is quite confusing. But it's something that he and Marianne have talked about before when he turned up. She was like, this is a gorgeous country. Look how beautiful it is. And he's like, I think it probably gets a bit muddy. That must be a bit inconvenient. She's like, but look at the beautiful hills. And he's like, we're walking on a muddy road. I'm thinking about practicalities. And it's the juxtaposition of, again, the practicalities and the pretty or whatever. Marianne is all, the admiration of landscape scenery has become a mere jargon. I don't want to use the same words as other people. I must express it in my own way. Sometimes I've kept my feelings to myself because I could find no language to describe them but what has been worn and hackneyed out of all sense and meaning. So by trying to not be cliche, I guess, she's being a different kind of cliche.
Marianne, there are some points where it seems like she might go through character development, and then she's just very young. And I'm like, oh, right, I forgot you were a child because you just sound like one. Marianne would wear, like, the pink version. She'd shop at Hot Topic. And she'd be like, I'm different from other people. Like, I don't have the same, like, yeah, I, like, agree with that. But I would never, it's, like, even more than what they think. So I would never say it.
I'm not like other girls.
I'm not like other girls. She's not like other girls because she doesn't say what she thinks about things, just how much she thinks that other people are not emotional.
I was there first. I liked them first before they were famous.
You wouldn't have even known about that band if it wasn't for me. You wouldn't even know that that hill is not muddy but beautiful if it wasn't for me.
This is the same conversation, slightly, that they had at Norland Park. She's like, you're reading the poetry wrong. Poetry is big and dramatic and emotional.
She really feels everyone should be feeling like she does. It's part of the reason that she's written like that is so that there is a dichotomy between her and Eleanor, to show that they are very different people. Marianne is much more like her mother, we know that. But even then, compared to how we see Mrs. Dashwood, like Marianne dials it up to 11.
But that's the only way to really feel.
I guess I've been feeling wrong.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like I'm pretty dramatic, but clearly not enough.
Oh, she does the same thing she did at Norland as well. She leaves them alone intentionally.
Again, the subtlety of Marianne does not exist.
No. She leaves them alone in the breakfast room, which I've got to imagine is one of their parlours that they sometimes call the breakfast room, because surely they're not going to set aside an entire room in this small cottage just for breakfast.
One for the morning with the morning sun and one for the evening with the evening sun.
That would make sense. But also they're both at the front of the cottage, so I don't know how that's going to work.
One on each side of the cottage?
Oh, yeah, the side windows. I was just thinking of the front windows. I'm like, the sun's going to be the same in both of them. Yeah, she's supposed to be having breakfast with Edward and Eleanor, and she's like, I'm just going to leave you guys alone. And then he follows her out of the room again. Exactly the same thing he did at Norland. He goes to see his horses in the village, because remember, they don't have a stable. Mm-hmm. When he comes back is when they have the whole conversation about the picturesque, because he was like, it is really nice here.
It's beautiful. I didn't notice the first time. So I've got an annotated edition in front of me, and the first note, and I think we should discuss, Stuart Tave, who wrote Some Words of Austen, the least successful part of Sense and Sensibility is the character of Edward. We must be convinced of Edward's value, not for his sake, but because we must believe in Eleanor's feelings, believe that her love is important because the man is important, that her suffering in the loss of him is deep because the man has depth. But the requirements of the plot are such that his secret engagement forces him to be reserved, dispirited, and dull, and that flattens not only his spirits, but his freedom to allow himself to be attractive to Eleanor. The result is an unsolved problem.
So he's saying Edward's not good enough for Eleanor. We don't buy into it because he seems boring? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a really interesting character assassination of Edward. His only value is placed on him because of Eleanor's feelings for him. Without her feelings, we don't care about him, which I don't completely disagree with. Part of the reason he's here is for the romantic feelings. What Edward serves to the plot is that he is a romantic character, that he is one of the romantic leads. If Edward isn't there, the story is lacking, and you would then need to replace him with a different character. It's not just Eleanor giving Edward depth of character. Edward gives Eleanor depth of character, because if without her feelings for Edward, we honestly wouldn't really know much of her feelings about anything except for her disapproval of Marianne's actions.
Both of them have depth of character, and it's not necessarily being revealed to the reader.
Yeah.
And he's saying we don't have buy-in because of that.
Mm.
It doesn't mean it's not there, though. And the fact that Eleanor sees something in him, yeah. It might not be that she's in love with him be the reason that we care about him per se, but the fact that she cares about him makes us realise there must be more than we're seeing.
Yeah.
And it's not till the end, when everything is revealed, that Edward's character makes sense. And rereading the novel and actually thinking about what's going on internally makes for such a different story.
Yeah, I agree.
Such a different Edward.
The line in this about his secret engagement making him a more reserved and boring character, we don't know that he's not reserved when he's not got a secret to keep. We only really find out the fullness of the secret at the end.
Okay, what's the difference between reserved and mysterious? Why could he not be mysteriously quiet rather than reserved quiet?
I think it's just because he's polite. I think is the difference. Actually, if I was going to say who is the more mysterious, say between like Edward Willoughby and Colonel Brandon, I think Willoughby seems the most mysterious.
Really?
To me. But he is the one who is there the most. But I think the reason Willoughby seems the most mysterious is because his actions seem the least sincere.
And they can't come up with an explanation for his actions.
Yeah.
Whereas Colonel Brandon and Edward, they can come up with their own explanations for why the guys appear to be acting weird, but Willoughby, they don't understand it at all.
Yeah. Because he is so, like, overtly charming and nice. Like, he's there all the time. And then he just suddenly disappears. Oh, that's really weird. When Colonel Brandon goes away, part of the reason we know even why he might have gone is from the gossip of Mrs. Jennings. Colonel Brandon has some mystery to his life, but it's gossiped about enough in his social circle that it's not really that mysterious. It's mostly just sad. With Edward, I feel like it's, again, not so much mystery. Yes, he is keeping this secret, but I don't know his intentions. And again, sincerity. He's not a disingenuous character, despite keeping a secret. Like, he is still an honourable man.
Yeah, he's not like Willoughby acting like he wants to marry Eleanor. He keeps pulling himself back. And I think that's part of the problem is he gets comfortable, behaves a certain way, and then goes, whoop, can't do that. Because at the start of the chapter, it's very obvious he's running hot and cold.
Yes.
She's uncertain about his preference. He'd be reserved, and then he'd have a more animated look. And she's like, what is happening?
Yeah.
She's trying to figure out if he does actually have feelings for her.
He's not a mystery. He's an enigma. He's a puzzle to be solved.
And that's our discussion of Chapter 18 of Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I've been Frances Duncan. This has been Rachel Pilwer.
Bye!
Thank you for listening, and we wish you happy reading. Where is the line between queepy?
Queepy? Queerpy.
I can do this. I can speak English.